Hi, so you're interested in more non-destructive or parametric modeling? You've come to the right place. I have a few videos here on my channel, you can check them out. They are by far the most watched videos on my channel, especially the Sony camera lens one. And what is it all about? Well, we want to create 3D objects using modifiers mostly, and the least amount of geometry. So the least amount of vertices, edges, or faces. So we can use a screw modifier to rotate things. We can use a screw modifier to extrude things. We can use array modifiers and bevels and all of the modifiers that Blender gives us to create 3D objects. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So recently I posted a screenshot asking people what they think that this could be, because I turned off all the modifiers. You can see there's not much there in this scene, and that's exactly what this whole thing is about. And if I turn on all the modifiers, what do we get? Let me show you. Okay, so here's the scene. I have a floor texture, which is from Polygon, and then I have a wall, and really everything, all the modifiers are switched off. You can see something down here, but other than that, this looks quite boring. So let me go in and switch on some modifiers, okay?
We have this object here, switch on the modifiers. Button, switch on the modifiers. Button, clear ring, switch on the modifiers. We have cable protector, we can switch that on. And what do we have here? We have the base middle, switch on all the modifiers. This with the modifiers and this with the modifiers. This, modifiers, this, modifiers, and this thing, switch on the modifiers.
And here we go. It is a tower fan, and to be exact, it is a Dyson Air Multiplier AM07 tower fan. This video is not sponsored by Dyson or affiliated in any kind. I just own one of those and I really like the design of it, so I decided to model it in Blender, and I modeled it using the non-destructive way, mostly made up out of modifiers. And in this tutorial, I'm gonna recreate the whole thing from scratch, from zero. And I'm gonna take you along with it if you're interested. So stick around, we'll get right to it. Okay, so first thing, I looked up some reference images online. So this is the tower fan. Here I found this picture that tells me how high it is. And then I have a front, a side. I guess I'm not gonna really use that one. And then this here shows us the shape of the wing that we're gonna create. It also has this little remote, but I don't think we're gonna go into that. And then also I took a picture here, because in none of these images here, they really show that there is a display behind the white plastic, so you don't see it when it's off. But when you actually plug it in and switch it on, there is like a white LED display that shines through the white plastic. So that's why I took that picture, so we can get some, the dimensions and stuff when we do that. So first of all, I'm gonna start off by importing this front image. I'm here in Blender 2.91 beta. And we can go to front view. You can see what I'm pressing down here. I can simply drag and drop an image in here, and it gives me an image empty. So I can press Alt G, and now I have to correctly size this. So what was the height? It says 134 centimeters here on the reference. So how I like to do this, maybe there's an easier way, but I just take in a cube. Go into edit mode GC1 so that the origin point of the cube is now down here. And then we can go over here and size this item. For example, I can go 134 centimeters. So we have 1.34 now. That's fine. We can take these down to, I don't know, 10 centimeters. We just want the height. And we want our origin to be, of course, on the a 0 height level here. And now we can scale our image empty and make it fit. And the way we do that, you know what? It's actually Alt G to reset that. Go into the image empty setting here and offset the Y until our origin point of the empty is right here, I would say, like right there. Okay, so let's fine tune this a little. I think this, I don't know, this looks good. So, and now I can scale the empty around that origin point of the empty, which is now down here. And so it's very easy to scale this correctly. We can also switch on transparency and make it 0.5 so that we can see our grid behind it. So if this is 1 meter on the grid here, yep, this looks about right. So we don't need this guy anymore, and I'm going to lock location, rotation, scale on this empty. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with the other empty. So I'm gonna go to side view and then drag in this empty here. Again, I'm going to offset using this so that the base here, like right here, is on the 0 line. This looks, wait a second, like so. Okay, so we have the origin here and we want this to be like here. And again, transparency 0.5, maybe rotate the view over here and then scale this down to fit this reference image here. Maybe I should have left that cube in, but that's fine. That looks good. Okay, again, I'm gonna lock everything so that I can basically not touch these anymore. Another thing you can do is enable all of this here and then switch off the selectability, I guess you would call it, of the image empties here. So here we have our reference images, and we're gonna start in the front view. I should also name these. So this is reference side. This is reference front. I can hide the side view so that it's not in the way. And now we're going to start modeling this. And you know, there's like thousands of tutorials out there on YouTube, and they would all start by creating a cylinder. So Shift A, cylinder, and then you define the amount of vertices you want. So you take maybe 32, and then you go in and you add loop cuts, and then you scale and rotate and extrude. And then at some point you realize that this is maybe not enough resolution, so you throw in a subdivision surface modifier. Then you realize you have more problems now because you need to add edge loops and tighten up the corners and stuff. This is not what we're going to do. We are not creating a cylinder that way. I'm going to start off by creating this top part here because, believe it or not, it's actually the easiest part of this whole tower fan model. So how do we do this? I'm going to leave my cursor in the center, Shift A, mesh plane. Go into edit mode, rotate X 90 and scale it down. And then in edit mode, I'm moving the vertices so the origin point stays down here. I just like to have the origins all in the same spot. Okay, so let's scale this down. And what I'm trying to do here is the following. I'm putting this corner right there because I'm creating this cylinder piece here by rotating just a few edges and vertices around. And by rotating using the screw modifier, I can then later decide what the resolution should be. So let's see. We can, for example, we really don't need, what do we need? We really don't need this vertex. So we're gonna rotate this around here. This vertex over here should be at x0, which we can just enter up here so that we know it's right in the middle. And then we just have this. Now I'm going to extrude on the x-axis, take this over just a little bit and down on the C like this. And then maybe extrude on the X and also set this to 0. So this is basically the shape. I'm putting in this little groove here because I want this top part, or I want this bottom bottom cylinder. I want to have a little edge there, or a little lip. And so I need this top part to go in and then down a little so that no light can shine through. So that's why I'm creating this little cutout here. So this is my shape. And where is it? And this is just 2-dimensional. Now let's make it 3-dimensional. Add, modifier, screw, and we're done. Okay, so we're rotating 360 degrees. We're rotating around the Z-axis, that's fine. We can define here how many steps, so what the resolution of our rotation should be. And we can change that whenever we want. So this is really the point of the non-destructive modeling, or you might call it parametric modeling, but then people in the comments are gonna go wild again because it's not really parametric like, for example, in Fusion 360. Anyways, it is a parameter and we can change it. So I would like to call it parametric. But also I can see that we have some shading issues here because this is shaded smooth. We have to switch on auto smooth so that only going around here is smooth and not, not the going around this way. So we can do auto smooth. We can go back in here, like I said, and let's do 64. Okay. So I'm also going to switch on the wireframe here so we can actually see what we're doing. Cool, so this is what we have. Now, this is the top part, but we have to cut this, this part out, right? How do we do that? Well, we need to create a cylinder, basically, with this certain radius here, and cut that away from our object that we already created. How do we create a cylinder? Again, people might go in, create a cylinder and scale it and all that stuff. This is not how I create a cylinder. In front view here, I'm gonna go Shift A plane again, go into edit mode, rotate X 90 and scale it down. GZ in edit mode, bring it up here and make it as wide as this here. Oh, you know what? By the way, I have a tool that I can enable so you can see where the mouse pointer is. I don't know if this is annoying, but we can try that. Okay, so this is that. Now I'm going to add a modifier, bevel modifier, on the vertices. Okay. And we can turn up the segment. Why doesn't this look very round? Doesn't look like a circle. Oh, because I have to turn this up. You can increase this to like an infinite number because it is being clamped anyway, right? So, and then again, I can define the segments. How many segments do I want? What does one segment give me? This, 2 is that. Okay, so 2 is already basically 8. 8 times 2. Okay, so if we want a 64, we can go 16. And that should give us the same resolution as with this object down here. So now we have a circle. We have a circle made out of just 4 vertices. It's not a cylinder yet, but of course we can make a cylinder out of it by simply adding another modifier, namely the solidify modifier. So we're gonna go offset 0 so that when we increase the solidify, it goes to the front and the back. Cool. But let's go back to edit mode, GC, bring this up to the correct position here, maybe underneath here a little, so like this. Okay. And now we can cut this out of this, and we do that with a Boolean modifier. It's all non-destructive. So you can enable the bool tools. It comes with Blender. It's an add-on. You just enable the checkbox and you have bool tools enabled, and that allows you to do the following. If you go into, oh, I have this on. Okay, so you switch or you select this object, and then you shift select this object. So no, the other way around. Sorry, you select this. I want to cut this away from this. Okay, so this has to be selected last, and then you hit Control and minus on the numpad. The numpad minus. Okay. So I can already tell that we have some perspective issues here. The issue is in this photograph in our reference image. I think I'm going to keep this here, but I think I want to go in here and box select these and GZ them down a little, because you know, the picture that the photograph seems to be taken, the camera seems to be not in the center but like up a little, and that's why we're looking into this wing up here, and we're also looking down onto this ring, and that is why we have not enough material basically here. So if we do it like this, this looks better. Cool. So we created a cylinder out of 4 vertices, just with modifiers, and we have this part now that is correct, except that it has no surface on the top, which sucks. How can we fix this? Usually it is an issue with normals or with manifold mesh, so that, you know, watertight. It's not watertight basically. Let's see if it helps. Let's go to wireframe mode. Let's go select everything in front view. This is our shape, and I'm just going to select this vertex and this vertex. It's a little hard to see because it's so fine lines and tiny dots, and I'm just going to add a face down the middle here. An edge by hitting F, which is the same as for adding a face. Now let's go into object mode again, and here we go. Now we have the surface. So this is done. Shade smooth. Does it look smooth? This is always very hard to tell if you have the wireframes on. So this looks smooth, but this doesn't. Let's see, we have auto smooth on. The screw modifier has a smooth shading. Now, why isn't this smooth? So we have smooth shading going around here, but not in here. And that is because this object here, the Boolean operand, basically, that's cutting away this shape, is not smooth. But of course we can just go shade smooth. Now this is smooth as well. And this is really the top part done. Now, right away, I like to go into rendered view. So I'm gonna split the screen here, turn this into rendered view. By the way, I'm gonna use cycles for this and switch over to GPU. And now we can see this. And all I want is this. Oh, I have to name these. So this is, I'm gonna call this base top. Okay, so this thing down here, I'm gonna call base, and this is the top part, and this is gonna be the motor, and this is gonna be the stand. So base top, and this thing is base top bool. And really, we don't want to see it at all in viewport or rendered. So all we want is this, and here is our rendered image in cycles. I'm also going to switch off the rendered view for the images, and then we have to put in some lights. So let's do this right away. Let's go Shift A, light area, Bring that maybe back here, like so. Turn it up to 500 watts or 200 watts. Rotate like this. Shift D, place one over here. And our world is gray. That's okay. Maybe make it darker. And then we can also add another light, Alt G and R up here, make it bigger to get some huge soft diffuse light. And this is our top part in cycles. Cool. Maybe these are a little bit too strong. All right, so top part done. Now all we did was add some modifiers, and that's what we're gonna do with all the other parts. What is the advantage? Like I said, you can always go back in and edit like the resolution. So let's talk about this quick. If I go into edit mode here, you can see I only have a few vertices that's making up this shape. First of all, I can easily go back and change the shape without having to extrude and scale and stuff. I just changed the outer shape, and everything else is done with modifiers. The downside to this is, what I wanted to say is, if I wanted to increase the resolution on the outside, so really the stuff that makes it round, if I want to increase or decrease that resolution, I can do this in my screw modifier. If you had a subdivision surface modifier on here, you would increase the resolution everywhere, not just on the outside where it's important in this case. So that's why I like the screw modifier to create the cylinders. I can now increase this to 128, for example, and have a much smoother outside, but I think 64 is fine. Okay. What's the downside? You don't have UVs. So it's very hard to put like labels or something onto these objects now because you have no UV maps. Luckily, this tower fan has basically no labels on it. So it's very clean. It's a very, very clean design. There's nothing on it. And that's really what makes it perfect for this kind of modeling. So final thing, I want to add a material, new material. I'm gonna call it plastic white because we're gonna use that all over the place. And our white plastic is just going to be, we're very white, not quite super duper extremely white, but maybe turn down the roughness. And you know what? We always want nice reflections in our product visualizations. And a very easy way to do this is to go to the world settings and add an environment texture. Open one up from HDRI Haven. They provide high quality HDRIs, 360 images with a high dynamic range. And we can just take something, I don't know, what shall we take? Let's do something that doesn't have too many colors in it. Maybe I need to download more. Let's do this one. Interior makes sense because it's a tower fan, right? So, and you can see we get nice reflections. Now I don't want to see this interior in the background. I can go down here to ray visibility and switch it off for camera. And I'm also going to switch it off for diffuse because I want to light my product with my lights that I place. I just want some reflections, some interesting reflections in the plastic. And you can see we're getting that here. Now we can really fine tune our material, plastic material, where is it? So roughness point, maybe 0.2. Okay, 0.15, this looks good, okay. And I'm going to come back to the material, to the plastic material, because we're gonna have to do something to make the LEDs shine through it. That's it for this part. There's more to come in the next video, so you can head over and watch that. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up. That tells YouTube that this dude made a cool video. Thank you for watching. Chris P out.